So last week we were really into Super Shredder plus Sephiroth. I started to build this deck, and then I ended up turning it into Yawgmoth instead, which I think was a mistake. And then Dingo top 8 or 5 to League with Leonardo. It was like no Young Wolves. It was playing Urza Saga and tutor targets, white sideboard cards instead of black sideboard cards, no Sephiroth. But was playing Leo for Cauldron Ballista. But I think I'd rather play Super Shredder. Because if you go Cauldron Ballista, Young Wolf, then this is an infinite combo with Sephiroth or Super Shredder. But Super Shredder is just a better value card in the deck, and I think for Leo and Super Shredder, it's very important to make sure that these cards are good threats in addition, because that's kind of in my mind that's like the whole point of playing them, is making sure that these cards are good threats in addition to being combo pieces. That's the formula that I liked for the Leonardo deck. I think that's also the formula I'm gonna like for this shell here. So let's get in there. Now, I do think that playing the Young Wolves over the Saga targets means it's very difficult to play Saga, so I just decided not to. And we're playing Starting Town instead, so which gives us better mana too. The testing is better if you are not playing at 1-2-0-2, because the quality of your opponents is lower. When you're playing at these records, you start to play against some weird stuff that is kind of sketch and usually a lot less interesting. And then it also makes it less interesting for the stream, and so I do it for partially entertainment value, and then also the EV at playing at these records is like not very high anyways. I think I'm gonna put back second Starting Town on the draw instead of putting back the Insight. So on the draw against an Arid Mesa Rogran Triome. Interesting. A lot of weird stuff today. Maybe 5-color creativity. So they're representing a Leyline Binding, which means that we don't want to play the Cauldron this turn. Gonna grab this Temple. Could go Fleshraker into Cauldron this next turn potentially. Also would be pretty good if we could just hold up the K command so we don't get creativity X equals 1. Yeah, I think I'd like to Dredger's Insight. And then let's not pay for Spell Pierce so that we aren't just running or just letting our opponent creativity. Although the K command is pretty telegraphed at this point. They maybe don't have another land. So I go Fleshraker, float an Eldrazi mana. Cauldron, still floating the mana, then K command. Maybe it's better to just fire it off now. I think with the Insight in the hand, that's true. Maybe if I didn't have the Insight. I want to try to like Dredger's Insight into one of my 4 ballistas so I can stop the creativity next turn potentially. So let's go Fleshraker. Cauldron. Insight. Looking for Ballista pretty badly. But what's nice is we can maybe put Ballista in the graveyard and then something else into our hand. So we find a Broodscale, we find a Fleshraker. We also could grab the Blade. Now we're worried about my opponent having Mind plus creativity. Obviously we're gonna say yes to this, but I don't know what we're taking. Probably Blade. Just a bit better with the Fleshraker. And then we can also Cauldron the Broodscale ability, which I guess isn't actually helpful, right? Because you can't adapt while you have a counter on it, of course. Oh, sorry, let me update the Mox field. My opponent graveyards Valgavoth here. I see Star Fox will be the new Super Mario movie. I did see that. I'm not the biggest Nintendo fan. Esther's more of a Nintendo fan than I am, but I'm sure we'll go see the movie. Okay, I guess I'll just go ahead and exile Valgavoth in response. Draw another Llanowar Wastes, which is less than ideal. And then I think I'm gonna go Cauldron now so that the Fleshraker is just out of bolt range. I don't think the graveyard hate's gonna be particularly relevant. We also get to gain a life, which is something, and get in. I do feel like maybe we, spewing the K command the way we did was a big mistake. They do get to flip the Fable, so now non-Dwarven mine land can still can creativity. Does grow the Fleshraker pretty big. Although they have a binding here. Maybe they've had a binding. They target the Cauldron instead of the Fleshraker, which is interesting. I don't think the Cauldron's super duper relevant in this board. A lot of good top decks. Rumble, K Command, Walking Ballista, Broodscale, Sephiroth. Even Super Shredder's like okay, not super good though. So we draw Prismatic Vista. You could have adapted the Fleshraker for extra damage. You cannot. You can only adapt. You cannot adapt when there's a counter on something. So we got them down to 8. Now we could have maybe sacked both spawns to just put them on the 2-turn clock, but then if my opponent Archons, then I don't have like all of these outs to Archon. And like I do think that they're like, about to creativity, so it's just kind of weird. Alk, the 34 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Good to see you. Yeah, so you can activate the adaptability, it just doesn't do anything. It looks like the swamp is in my graveyard. This is a quintessential Aspiring Spike here. Maybe sacking 1 to turn off fetch lands next turn was good. I'm only playing 22 lands, right? 21 lands. All right. All right. That's fine. Should have equipped the blade. Is Ballista lethal? So I can go 2, 3, 4. Sack, equip. I guess I can only do 5 damage. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we only have 7 lands left in our deck. Which is crazy to draw 3 in a row with only 10 left. We find Super Shredder, which is an interesting one. I do think my opponent's likely to creativity here. However, when they creativity, both cards living trigger Shredder once. My spawn tokens trigger Shredder, so that's like a 5 power Shredder, plus the blade counters. So that's like maybe another 4. Although they will just maybe have 2 Archons to double block. Curious how 4 Super Shredder feels. Worried about it as a legend. The legend rule basically doesn't exist in Modern. It almost never ever comes up, But the creatures are just too fragile. Yeah, you could also legend ruling for a counter on Sephiroth has actually been like lethal sometimes, but it's just not a big deal, no. You could play 1 less though if you want. Oh, that's true. We did see Valgavoth. That's true. They might not hit Archon. It's an interesting point. So they copy the Shaman. So they're gonna have enough mana no matter what. Oh, but they only attack with this one. Okay. So I could sack both spawn tokens to block this Shaman. Oh, sorry. I only need to sack 1. Because I get 2 counters. Yeah, we'll do that. Not very good against Lightning Bolt, but I don't think I'll play around it. Okay, they have Lightning Bolts. One Saga better than Shredder 4. I guess I don't exactly understand. Like I wouldn't add a land for a spell here. I think, especially not after this game. I tell you what. All right, there's the spell though. So let's play around Spell Pierce. I think I'm gonna play. I do want to be able to play Sephiroth post Spell Pierce. I'm gonna tap like this. Okay, command X equals 6. Ballista is also lethal unless they have another removal spell. Yeah, no, I know this K command's not super good in this meta game, but decided to play it anyways. Reprieve. All right, a little bit tough, but I think we're only winning this game if my opponent continues to stumble, so I'm going to go ahead and exile their shaman here. Bottom, yet another land, and draw another blade. Another blade is not too bad, because if we can find a Broodscale, then we can make an infinitely big board if they don't have more removal. Although here comes a creativity. They hit Raph and Mikey. So we'll see. Maybe they've got an Archon here. I'm glad that this card is finding its home. Obviously, we got very flooded this game, and we lost. Could have played different. Cool to see creativity back to some extent. Let's bring these Thoughtseizes in. The Shredders are really interesting in the matchup, I think. I think I'm going to cut the Insights. I don't feel like the Infinite Life combo is going to be super reliable, even though maybe it would technically win in paper. Go down to Young Wolf too. Don't think I'm going to play Thief of Existence for Fable, and maybe they have like one Teferi or something. Remember the brief period of time where creativity was nuts? Yeah, I really liked it. I really liked playing Orvar in my sideboard. I remember I played an SCG. I was playing a Breach combo, like the Gruul Breach deck, and I had kind of a deep run, and I was playing against creativity, and my opponent, it was like Orvar was like very new tech, and my opponent just straight up did not cast a creativity in either sideboard game, despite having it, and I was super dead to it the whole time because I didn't have Orvar, and then I still lost the match. But yeah. Yeah, I agree. The year after MH2, that was the best Modern ever was, in my opinion. I was farming the LGS with it until Orvar tech was popularized. Yeah, the tech was so cool. And then like I liked how the creativity gamers would like pivot away from it. I remember I lost an RCQ because my opponent boarded in and like one Elishnorn and they still had 3 Archons. It was literally like I just win if they hit an Archon and they hit an Elishnorn. That was the like game 3 of the finals. They're very fun. Was that before PT Barcelona? Yeah. So PT Barcelona. So I did. Modern got worse post Lord of the Rings for sure. So like post MH2 or pre Lord of the Rings was the best time. Before MH was the best Modern. Yeah. So it's all kind of like blurry in my mind. So I started playing Grixis Delver, like the Twin Pod era. That was my first real Modern deck, and I played Modern constantly until Eldrazi Winter. And then Eldrazi Winter, I took a step back, like a lot of Modern gamers did. And then it's kind of blurry in my mind, like how things evolve from there. Like I remember I played a bunch of Jeskai Nahiri, and I remember Bant Eldrazi was still a good deck. I like won like an RCQ with Bant Eldrazi. I think maybe I didn't. Maybe I lost in that one. Again, it's just all so blurry in my mind after all these years. Let's take the creativity here. I don't know. Yeah, it just all blends together, huh? But I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't remember if that time, like after like Eldrazi Winter was good. You know, I know the time before Eldrazi Winter was amazing, but I guess I just don't remember the time after it being that strong. So Cauldron Ballista Young Wolf doesn't do a lot here by itself, and we've drawn another Young Wolf. Yeah, I turned 32 in like 2 weeks. You know, these ballistas are not so bad because they do stop creativity. Kind of wish I had them in my hand earlier. But I think I'm just going to be playing another one here. If they want to reprieve it, that's okay. Very weird game. Like, saving it for the Fleshrakers could be good, too. When else would you describe Modern as amazing? I would say pre-Eldrazi Winter was my favorite era. Then Winter hit, then Modern Horizons. Yeah, so I'd say post-MH2, pre-Lord of the Rings was amazing. Pre-Eldrazi Winter was amazing. I think we've had varying degrees of good since then, maybe even some greats. I don't think we've had an amazing beyond that. All right, so now they've got 1 mana binding available. Very, very weird game we're playing right now. Feel free to blast me. I personally enjoyed Uro Astrolabe. I mean, everybody has like these broken decks that they really liked for sure. Even me. So I guess they just found another creativity if they're going to go for the discharge here, maybe. Maybe not. They could also just be trying to top deck it. We know about this Dwarven mine already, but we Thoughtseize their first creativity. Dang, tough stuff. Okay. Moving it on, I guess. Maybe bad matchup, maybe awkward draws. I obviously got really, like, kind of flooded into screwed. Very weird hand here. Let's try it. Last seen 4 days ago on Living End, so maybe Double Rumble will be good against Living End. Fill up the graveyard. We are playing quite often last time. Not sure exactly what they're trying to say there. So Scalding Tarn, Archive, Graveyard's Casey Jones. So they're playing Blink. So I guess I'm going to go for Super Shredder here. Then not attack into Ophelia. Although maybe if they block with Ophelia, it's good for me. But if they... Do I ever want to leave this back to block? Don't think so, because if they blink a Riddler, I'm blocking with Super Shredder. Pretty minor, but the 1 point might matter. And they just use Discharge. We do have a backup Shredder. Shredder as a payoff if we can find Cauldron for the Ballista. So maybe I'll try to be a little more hesitant on this one. They're playing a Gonjo. Is Mick Winsauce playing a Gonjo? They also are saying I have Galvanic Discharge in my hand and I'm not willing to try to draw Ephemerate off of the Riddler ETB. We find a starting town, we mill another copy of Ballista. I think I'm just going to cast the Blade this turn. I don't know much about Modern's history, but surely the era of Marty Pyre overlap with something broken toxic. Yeah, that was also like the Hollow One, Dredge, Phoenix meta, which I found to be like not a very good meta. It was like... it was like a little bit after that Modern Horizons 1 dropped, and I do remember like pretty early into the Modern Horizons 1 meta, I like, you know, I was a new streamer at the time, and I was like trying to figure out like how deep into the streaming career I wanted to go, and it had been like 3 or 4 months or something like really small like that. Because they're gonna consign their Flage here. So if we can find a Cauldron, we can win. It was like 3 or 4 months into. Oh wait, they didn't consign the Flage trigger. I guess they could just escape it next turn, and we found the Cauldron anyways. Although I guess because the Young Wolf is not in play anymore, we don't win. It's kind of interesting. Hold on. So I guess, do I want to Rumble? Because like I can't go. I need to play these 3 cards this turn to win the game, and I don't have enough mana. So I guess I'm just gonna go Cauldron, Exile Flage, and play Young Wolf. But it was like 3 or 4 months after I was starting streaming, and I remember like sitting in my room, waiting, like maybe not even gonna go live today because the Faithless Looting format was so bad. The Faithless Looting format was so bad. It was so difficult to brew in, and I didn't have a lot of viewers at the time, but like the stuff was diminishing, and I'm like, I remember just sitting there thinking, I probably just need to like pursue something else because this is just not working, and it was not working like largely because of Faithless Looting, and then out of nowhere they banned Faithless Looting, just that same day, I'm sitting at home like thinking I might just pursue something else for a while, and then they banned Faithless Looting, and then we were just so back. So we want to Cauldron this first. And then they can't I guess they can respond to the Undying trigger. But how this works is you go ping your own Young Wolf. I'm going to wait to yield to everything, just because if I yield to everything, it might become harder to respond to stuff. But this is going to make our Super Shredder infinitely big, with infinite counters on it, and there's a Ballista under the Cauldron. So I'm glad they've been looting there. Movie with the 50 months, welcome back. Yeah, I was definitely wrong about looting getting unbanned too, but part of it was like that memory is like so strong for me. That memory of like I'm going to quit streaming because looting is so bad for the format. That memory is just like so burned in my brain that I was just so scared of that happening again. Rumble into land, play Cauldron, and Young Wolf use second spawn to equip Blade to first spawn. And spawn can ping infinite times. Okay, yeah, maybe I guess we should have gone for that. Although it's pretty rough if we miss a land. Maybe it's not that bad. Is that the only time you've come close to quitting because of the format? Yeah. I think so. Whiskey with the 6 months, thank you, welcome back. I don't know. I'm just gonna ping my opponent once here. Because we do have this. This is also winning the game here. I guess I just have enough counters. Poor Young Wolf, doomed to die over and over and over again. That area when it switched to standard before I was brew. Yeah, I have definitely switched modern off of modern a couple times. Post MH3, and then also when Pioneer was starting, modern was also coincidentally really bad. So I did enjoy the Pioneer arc. All right, so we're up a game against Jeskai Blink. I think again the infinite life combo. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I like it against Boros and Prowess, but I don't know if I'm just always cutting these. I think I do one of the Thoughtseizes to try to break up Wrath specifically. Yeah, I remember one of the first thing I was really like playing a lot of was Modern Jund. A lot of people kept asking me, is Red and 6 better than Dark Confidant? And now neither see play, huh? I've ever played Legacy. Yeah, I played a lot of Legacy. There was a time where I was like exclusively a Legacy player. This was after Eldrazi Winter and Modern, and then before I kind of came back. I played a lot of Ants, and I played a lot of Miracles. Leaving them with the Riddler with the consign in hand is pretty risky. I don't like them having to consign. I guess I take the Riddler. It's kind of nice that if I play the Fleshraker this turn, they're not going to play the Felia. And maybe we can get a 2/2 Ballista. Waste really punishing us here. Um, I played like most legacy decks like back in the day. I can't remember exactly when I stopped. I played the Team Pro Tour Minneapolis, which was the only Pro Tour you could ever play legacy at, and I was the legacy seat, and it was so fun. It was incredibly fun to play legacy at the Pro Tour level. We did pretty good. So they have Solitude, 3 mystery cards. I feel like I'm gonna draw Starting Town. Yeah, that was the Death Shadow Pro Tour, at least for Legacy. It was the Legacy Death Shadow deck was really popular, and I played Ad Nauseam Tendrils, and I played obviously against that deck a lot in the like practice queues, and I was losing to it a lot because they're a cheap tempo deck that's playing a ton of 1 mana discard spells, Fortification Days, Spell Pierce. They just had like a lot of really premium interaction against me, of course, and so I ended up just putting a second copy of Tendrils in my sideboard, and then the matchup just weirdly went from like pretty bad to like almost like kind of just hard to lose. It became like weirdly pretty simple. Okay, let's go Ballista on 2 this turn, and then maybe we can go try to rumble into another green source and double spell next turn. I just played another copy of Tendrils of Agony in my sideboard, and I would just ponder and preordain and brainstorm, and I would just find one of my 2 copies of Tendrils, and I would just Tendrils for like 3 or 4, and I would win. And I went I was like, I either went 3-0 or 4-0 against Dimir Shadow at that PT, and every single one of my Shadow opponents complained about me winning when their matchup was so good. Every single one. It was very funny. Which I think like just doing that at the PT level ever is like I almost can't ever remember that happening, but the fact that it happened every single time was so funny to me. I think I gotta take this blade. You have another Felia, maybe? Do you have another Felia? There's land number 3 for them. They do still have the Solitude in their hand. Them getting rid of my spawn token is good for them for sure. I've never played Eternal Weekend though, although I would definitely like to. Getting Felia off the field is certainly high priority. I think I'm gonna go play Young Wolf here. I don't have a second green to combo anyways. Yeah, every year Eternal Weekend creeps up on me, and I think about going, and I don't go. So I'm thinking about their Surveil. They had a Solitude, 3 mystery cards. I've heard a lot of people say Legacy is quite good at the moment. It's definitely it's I think it's not a good format to stream. One because it's a hard format to brew in, but also like Legacy requires the most technical play of any format. I think you have to be so locked in. You can like never F6. Like it's just so hard to ever F6 in the Force of Will format. It just even if you don't have a Force of Will, you're just super duper telegraphing what your hand is every time you F6. It's just it's a very difficult format to be streaming. So I can go Super Shredder and then Super Shredder. I guess I'm short. I guess I'm short of Shredder in the brood scale. Okay. Yeah, I guess you could just not play blue, but oh, sorry, I should have tapped the temple. It shouldn't be a big difference though. Jam Ant. Yeah, we have streamed some Ant events. Legacy is mostly good right now, except Oops All Spells, just a miserable experience. Really? Oops All Spells? I feel like has something changed? Because like in my memory, Oops All Spells is just a deck that like there's so much counterplay to it. The yield until response option is kind of good in Legacy. I don't think that really changes the fact that you just have to be you literally cannot like F6 and talk to chat at all. I don't you know what I mean? Didn't they ban something from Oops? Yeah, like every week. Don't do that. I feel like there's been no changes to Legacy for a while, but maybe I'm wrong. I think if Oops All Spells is like the problem deck in Legacy, that sounds really good to me because it's like one of the easier decks to hate out, I think. Or did I commit too hard into Wrath? Maybe a little bit. They just abandoned Tomb and Nadu? They abandoned Tomb? Then they can sign my Undying triggers. They got 2 cards, I got 2 cards. I guess that's fair and square, huh? I think I'm going to play and adapt the Broodscale immediately. For the Super Shredder. They got 2 cards. One of them is still Solitude. Ubisoft Spells has like an 80% turn 1 win rate without interaction. I think that can't be true, but you have to have Dark Ritual in your hand, right? Or like, so I guess you could also have like Lotus Petal and like some combination of Lotus Petal, Chromux, Simian Spirit Guide, but those are fewer and far between. 80% seems too high to me. I think it must be like closer to 60%. But I don't know. To be fair, I don't know. Very interesting they chose the Celestial Purge instead of Solitude this turn. Oops, it's surprising strong. I believe that it's strong. I'm not trying to speak with authority that it's not strong, but it is true. Okay, listen, if that's a real source number, I'll trust you. 80% is also like, it's a number that I like never trust, because Magic players they really love to call like matchups 80% when there's like almost never been any 80% matchups in Magic's history. There are some, but like an actual 80% matchup is so rare. Despite Magic players loving to call their matchup an 80% matchup. So hitting a Cauldron here is pretty good. Again, they still have that Solitude, but we can now Ballista the Solitude. McWinsauce lost Elsie Noobs with turn 1 with 3-pack. Oh, that's pretty gross. Yeah, 80% aka 54%, yeah. But I know my Twitch chatters would never be so hyperbolic. We might have lethal here. Probably not quite, right? But maybe. So we can go put a counter on the spawn token, attack for 2. Then yeah, I guess not really that close. We can ping them down to 8, and then we can put 3 counters on this, put them down to 5, which is not gonna be quite lethal. Could have adapted there again. Oh, that's true. So adapt, then remove the counter, then the counter goes on. You can use Temple to wait. Hold on. I'm learning something at least. You could use Temple to play for Ballista ability to add a counter to Broodscale. Is that true? I don't know how I don't know that, because we've played enough Broodscale. Was that sarcasm directed at my loving support audience? I don't remember being sarcastic, but I mean, it's entirely possible. The learning stuff isn't, though. Can you? Yeah, maybe we should have gone for the adapt Ping Lang. Or drew a Sephiroth. Thing is, my opponent's just kind of really dead, right? Let's see. So this is 2. Do I have? I have a Broodscale I can Ballista Cauldron. Okay, let's go to combat first. Not to be one of those people reading the card explains the cards. Does Eldrazi? I mean, so this says spend mana only to cast colorless spells or activate colorless Eldrazi abilities. I don't know that this is just easily explained. I guess we could find out right now. But this is at the very least a really weird rules interaction that I don't feel like this is a reading the card explains the card situation. But let's see. Okay, so I'm going to activate the adapt. Yes, activate the ability. And it does work. Okay, cool. Okay, so then the adapt comes back on. Then we level the adapt again. I don't think it's that weird. I guess I think it's super weird, but whatever. What do I know? All right, then adapt again. So we can't. I guess we're out of adapts. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't really make sense to adapt instead of sack, since we're sacking the spawn anyway. It's just easier for time's sake. So this is... Oh! Dang, I forgot to... I think I missed that adapt, huh? So I missed 1 damage. It's 5. I can put them to 2. And then that puts another counter on the Shredder here. And then we hit them down to 4, 2 damage in play. Can I drop a link for my Simic Eldrazi Brew? I really want your thoughts on if we think turn 4 or 5 Deep Fiend as a Time Walk is good enough. I played a good bit of Deep Fiend in like mono blue shells. It's like definitely fine. I think it's probably not where you want like your main game plan to be though. Alright, so I guess we kill this Felia. Was that a punt? We missed 1 damage at least? We did miss 1 damage. I've acknowledged it once, but I will continue to flagellate myself for the missed damage. Does Sephiroth coming down pre-combat make this different? I mean, it definitely makes us like more vulnerable to counter magic, although they don't play much counter magic, to be fair. They're out of cards now. Interesting. So if I go Cauldron, there's nothing for value, but so this is 1 counter, and then yeah, I mean I just went with the adapt stuff, so let's just do that. Sephiroth seems better last turn. I mean, my opponent had 5 open mana. I feel like was it not better to like make them commit their hand? I don't know. I feel like it was fine to just make them commit their hand and still have a Sephiroth and post like their removal. And if they have nothing, we're in good shape. So adapt. Yeah, activate. This is again a cool trick. Like I would think Sephiroth is like overcommitting into sweeper plus removal hand into untap Wrath Disguise. Wouldn't it be? Oh, adapt requires 0 green because of Cauldron. Okay, the line has gotten even better. A cool trick. Again, they're overworked and underpaid. We love judges here. All right, on the play, new match here. I figured Seth might have put them dead through interaction. Yeah, it's kind of tough because they just can have a lot of things, and I feel like just working with what's on board is better. Because again, if they don't have a lot of interaction, it's better, and if they do, it's also better to hold the Sephiroth. Swamp Go. So I'm pretty likely to play Fleshraker because it just doesn't die to push right now. Although I don't know what Swamp Go is. Ah, let's go Gari! Our opponents have been awesome today. They're not very similar to yesterday. Okay, so they were playing against Ice Coffee, which is very cool. Land would be nice. Okay, that's nice. I think I'm pretty interested in K commanding this turn. We do this now before they could like untap an edict in response, although I guess I would still get my counter. But I want to do this so I can maybe untap and play Sephiroth and Super Shredder. Maybe not play both, but look at it at least. Okay, well, I'm going to keep this because this cards are broken and get in. I've been checking official spoilers. 2 new just dropped. I saw the Orzhov charm. I didn't see, or the it's put 2 counters on a creature, exile creature power 2 or less, or drain your opponent for 3 for 2 mana. I thought that was really cool. I love the charms. I'm charmed by the charms, and I would just love to see more of them play. But besides that, I didn't see anything. Urborg and Cabal coffers. Red white charms to spoil. Yeah, just send it over. Maybe they have Cling to Dust here. Okay, so we can go Sephiroth, trigger on the stack, K command. Yeah, this lets us flip Sephiroth, which is usually pretty good. Use the Urborg. If I had drawn a land, maybe we could have shredded first. What are the modes on Orzhov Charm? I don't need an open link, so you all can do it. What are the 3 modes? I don't hate either of these. I think I'm probably gonna say no to Cauldron though. Yes to Vista. So my opponent is. I think that's a little late here. So they're down to 3, attack for 2, and then there's no creatures in the yard to gain life with the cling, so we just win. No, so I guess we're calling them by the wrong name, but there's the new charms. There's a new cycle of charms, not called Boros or Zav, but new cycle. Yeah, if you post a link, I'll take a look at it. Math with the 21 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Pretty cool. Yeah, let's just bring in the Thoughtseizes again. Maybe if I think they're playing Karn, we'll bring in the Thief of Existences, but I think they could also just be playing our last build that was Karnless. I haven't seen the Ancestor Recall. It has been officially spoiled, right? Somehow everyone, I kept asking chat what the text was yesterday, and no one linked it to me, and no one told me. But I mean, I know I sound like a real lazy bones right now, but I don't know what it does. Is all I'm trying to say. Okay, Lorehold Charm. 2-minute instant. Each opponent sack. Are any of the charms a sorcery? I think they are all instants. Each opponent sacks a non-token artifact. So huge against Kappa Cannoneer. That's great text. Return artifact or creature mana value 2 or less from graveyard to battlefield at instant speed. Creatures you control gain +1/+1 and trample till end of turn. Are there any good Boros decks in Modern that this could go in? Are there any good Boros decks that have good 1 and 2 mana value creatures to return, are weak to Kappa Cannoneer, and are interested in fast damage pushes? Seems super bad against Kappa. Each opponent sacks a non-token artifact. Okay, sorry, yes. Not that good against Kappa, sorry. I think I got kind of like Shieldred's Edict brained there. Okay, that's not as good. Good catch. Goodbye, okay, command. They took the Rumble. Oh, reasonable. Bad if I draw a good 2-drop here. Okay, drawing that, I will play a Ballista on 1. Yeah, exactly. They're gonna have something that's not Kappa Cannoneer to sack this. Although Meltdown plus this card can deal with Kappa Cannoneer for whatever that's worth. Like Meltdown on 1 plus this. All right, so they don't have a coffers yet, or at least not one in play. Starting town gonna enter tap next turn, I guess. Interesting they get us. I guess they're gonna cling. I feel like they cling the Ballista with 1 card in their hand. Their card must be really good, because I'm just like always surveilling or cycling on this spot if I'm them. But they also don't even have double green for Ice Till. Okay, there's double green. Tapped. Maybe I could have exiled the cling there. My opponent plots a Pillage the Bog. Very often it seems Saga being better than Starting Town, but I'm flooding. I mean, I am flooding. Again, it's not just Starting Town versus Saga in this deck. The dynamic is Saga's not gonna be very good because it's hard to fit the Young Wolf combo and the Saga tutor targets. That's like the entire thing here. But I am also flooding a lot. I agree. I would love to have Urza Saga because I've been flooding a lot. Okay, let's see. Let's look at this recall card. Okay, I'll make a. I've been told this is official. This is not looking very official. Okay, 5 and a 5/5. Ancestral Recall. Target player draws 3 cards. Holy guacamole. And when this creature attacks, okay, this creature enters prepared. So, do we know how this works mechanically? Like you have to cast the front half first, but then when you cast Recall, what happens? How does it go from play to the stack? It's not official. Okay, I'm making a one-time Ancestral Recall exception, although a lot of people told me it was official. Attacks, you may exile 8 cards from your graveyard. If you do, this card becomes prepared. Nobody knows. Okay. Well, very cool. Sorry if I looked at the leak here. But we'll find out. Right, well, flooding pretty good against Thoughtseize here. I think that's a very fun way to let players play with these like classic iconic power cards. What are they getting? Maybe Bridge? Why would they call it Recall? Because it's fucking sick, is why. Because if they get coding, your card's dead on board, dude. They're calling it Recall because it's sick. You know what I mean? It's provocative. It's getting the people going. I guess I just didn't realize the card was dead on board. I think it's cool. It's not, it's chill. They cast the coding pretty fast for someone who's dead on board with the Cling on the yard. Alright, then they concede. I get big shark jumping vibes from this. I don't at all. I think it's sick. I'm really in favor of this kind of design. It's just like I don't think there's really any problem with it. Although we don't know how the mechanic works necessarily, but like I'm assuming I'm assuming you cannot cast Recall for that. It's not this. I'm assuming they didn't just print strictly better Recall here. Listen, if it's strictly better Recall, this is worse. This is not well designed. I think it's fun. I think it's probably somewhat balanced, and I approve. Psychic Frog, huh? I guess I'm gonna leave the Ballista in the yard. Take this Broodscale. Probably resolve the Broodscale. Now, obviously, we're in pretty bad shape, though. I'm sure you can cast it while the creature is prepared. Once you cast it, the creature is not prepared. I think that seems likely to be the case. It does seem weird that you could just recur Ancestral Recall with this card if your ward creature lives. So I'm like a little bit more dubious that's how it works. Like, if you can recurringly recall with this card, I think that's a little bit more scary. Although it is a 5-mana creature. Flooded every game. Seems mostly for standard. Maybe. I mean, standard's like really fast. You have to exile 8 cards to repair it. You know, I'm remembering another time that you had to exile 7 cards from your graveyard to play Ancestral Recall. I'm remembering another time. You can definitely recur the spell since it repairs itself repeatedly. So, like, what, but what is it, like, what happens if you counter the recall? Does it counter the creature that's in play? You know what I mean? Like, if you cast the recall half of the creature, what, like, does it go, it doesn't go to the stack? You know, like, how does the stack work with it? That's a big question I have. Surprised they're not flying the frog, but maybe just getting these undead is good. We literally have no idea. Yeah, I'm trying to speculate with y'all. I'm trying to speculate. I'm not actually asking. I'm asking y'all to figure it out with me. Maybe it goes to the stack like a copy. Maybe it's a copy of the spell. Gonna be a tough one here. Let's go and bottom this. Like the fact that his ward is pretty crazy. There's already a recall in standard. His name is Loot, and he's in Teamer colors. Hell yeah. Is it gonna be fun with ephemery? I don't know. So 5 mana value creatures in Modern, they usually let you cheat them in play for less than 5 mana. I don't know. I think the card's sick though. I also, I guess I would say I generally like that this is a card that like is getting people excited for Magic because it's referencing Power 9, and it's doing so in like I think a pretty cool and interesting way. And it's like, you know, I think the anti-universe beyond crowd really should be very excited about this card. All right, come on, my young wolves. All right, I'm gonna go to game 3 or game 2. Could it be Persistent or Glorious? I'm sure it could be one of those things. All right, I'm going to go to the bathroom while my opponent sideboards, I think. I guess we probably want some pushes. Yeah, maybe I'm going to just move away from the Young Wolves. I mean, I think the Undying is just kind of good, though. Let's do this. 1/1 Shredder. Still just 3 Wolves. Okay, be right back. Mulligan. Oh, dang, I clicked keep on accident. Sorry about that. I guess we're stuck with this hand. Yeah, that one's apparently leaked. Someone told me it was official yesterday, but it is kind of a weird gray area because it's one of those like it was leaked during the Turtle pre-release. Okay. Kind of want to save this for Super Shredder, and like maybe we could save the blade for the second Fleshraker. This is just, I think, a good hedge against my opponent having a removal spell this turn. Yeah. So big draw for me. All right, let's see if they have a consign. They didn't consign my Fleshraker turn 1. Sheesh. Snare. Five cards in their hand still. So they graveyard a Cling. Let's attack first. Amy was saying she probably thinks it's a straight up Link and not a Ring Pack. I see. Well, the Pinkertons will find me sooner rather than later, I imagine. It's been good knowing all of you. Seems like a tough matchup. Plays a frog, 2 cards in hand. They feel they grow the Shredder by 2. It's pretty awkward for them, yeah. I've heard the Pinkerton joke a bunch. I know the historical reference, but Wizards actually went after people. Yes, let me see. I remember the I believe that there was a person who opened a bunch of cards from a future set in a pack, and I believe that person I don't know what they were doing with them. I don't know what they're doing with them, but I believe that they The wizard sent the Pinkertons to go collect the cards. Is my understanding of the story. Was it? It wasn't that long ago, was it? I think it was like 2 years ago. They consult. I thought this was gonna be a subtlety for sure. Wasn't like DMU. I don't know. I don't know. What even is a Pinkerton? I should have to Google that one. Maybe I'll move the blade over to the Fleshraker. And they do take their 2 cards off the consult. 2023, dang, time does fly, huh? Felt like just yesterday Wizards was sending the Pinkertons after chatters after um they discard a counterspell. Then they Toxic Deluge for 2. Alright, so now they're down to 7. I've got 2 Young Wolves. Them discarding counterspell is going to make things pretty scary, I think. Maybe they'll like replicate Consign on both the Undying triggers. All right, passing back. Seems like a very tough matchup. I guess we're not going to block. Probably, I guess I should have equipped the blade again. Although the thing is, there's not a lot of a point equipping the blades because they're just going to kill the one the blade is equipped to if they have a removal spell. You know what I mean? So they could field my wastes, maybe my Llanowar Wastes, not my snow-covered wastes, to keep me off of top deck K command. But they almost definitely just have another counterspell in their hand if they're going to discard a counterspell like they did earlier. Can't really even outpace the Cling to Dust. All right, let's I think go to round 5 here. Draven, you are so funny saying that. Okay, we're on the play for round 5. Spike, my buddy said the other day we were playing a Mona Lisa list. Mona Lisa. I do see how that came across. I definitely like the things I find funny sometimes. I don't know. Maybe they just get me in trouble, but I can see why you wanted to defend yourself there. But it's all love. Steam Vince Ragavan is either Jeskai or Domain Zoo. I think I'm gonna rumble here. Yeah, we're on the same page, Draven. Listen, if you guys didn't argue with me about cards, I would be a lot more bored. Fluffy the 46, welcome back. I usually like to type memes here. I want to thank you for watching you watching over for 4 years, and your streams are high quality, consistent. I'm glad that you're still liking the stream after all this time. I'm still liking the stream after all this time too. You know, I'm like working on other projects, and like my days are really full. But I just the stream is in like a lot of ways like my break from the grind of like exercising a lot and designing a game and trying to write a novel. It's like this is kind of still the highlight of my day, especially right now. The other stuff is really a grind at the moment. So likely Jeskai. I'm gonna go ahead and play Super Shredder first, since they might just not crack the turn if I play this first. We beat Jeskai earlier, right? Yeah, we did. Yeah, they didn't crack the turn, though. Doesn't mean they don't have like a removal spell for it, though. I think that's the first 100 stream watch streak. Thank you, clap. Congratulations. I don't think I've seen 100 before that. I do think it's funny that when these stream streaks they first started, I made a big deal about like thanking them immediately, and I haven't been doing it for like months, and now people are still they're still spamming them. You started the stream with it, Roro? I didn't see it. I'm sorry, Roro. I don't think I don't think the streaks they show up in the chat history, so it's lost forever. Lost history. Alright, so now they cracked the Tarn. Oh, move the record tracker over here. Truly the Roro is truly the Thomas Edison to, or sorry, is truly the Nikola Tesla to collapse Thomas Edison. All right, they do surveil. They do keep a card on top after some deliberation, and then they evoke a Solitude, pitching Ophelia. Instead of playing Ophelia this turn, they exile my Super Shredder. I gain 2 life. They don't have a consigned memory. Certainly going to be happy enough with this exchange. Although I don't really know why they didn't just play Ophelia. I'm trying to figure out like what the contents of their hand would be for them to do that, or potentially like what the contents of their heart is. Maybe they have a I mean, if they had a consign, they probably would have scammed the Solitude. Like, I'm totally okay, like, just getting another 2-for-1. This is like the opposite of the Debir Flash matchup. Every card we play is a 2-for-1 instead of a brutal 1-for-1. Or 2-for-1 in their favor. I guess we're gonna Insight first here. We found a Blade and we milled a Ballista, which is pretty good. Maybe they have a second Felia, but let's go ahead and play the Blade, study the Blade. Could maybe play this to thin, save it for the Super Shredder something too. My opponent also just does not play a Felia. Then they play an Island, then they pass with 3 cards in their hand. All right, let's play Broodscale. I got a feeling here. I got a feeling that my opponent's the type of gamer who would respond to the equip if they had removal. And they have consign. Okay. Okay. I'm happy enough with this exchange. Although, I don't know why they wouldn't consign the casting of Broodscale. That's neither here nor there. That's none of my business. It's none of my business. It looks green, like Alphaba. If you know, you know. All right, 1 card left in their hand after getting Wrathed. So I'm glad we got the consign out of their hand. Draw another Cauldron, which isn't very good. I find a Young Wolf, which is good with the Cauldron Ballista. It's not like, it's probably better than I could double spell this turn too. And this means top deck Sephiroth. I guess I have infinite life. I guess we'll gain some amount of life here. The thing is, like in paper, this is just a win, and then this is Magic Online, so I don't know. We'll do some stuff here. Yeah, the adapt tricks are pretty fun. I kind of forgot about them. Okay, so I'm gonna go. The save targets work if it's a new version of it. I can't remember. So always yield to the Undying. Always yield to this. Maybe this combo is not as bad as I think. Yeah, okay, you can't save the targets, but besides that, you can go. Yeah, this isn't so bad. I like to take this moment to thank our sponsors, moxfield.com/user/aspiring spike and Card Nexus. Moxfield.com, best place to store your deck list. Card Nexus, best place to store your Magic collection. The Guy, I'd like to thank you for the 73-month resubscription. Appreciate you. Whoever gifts the most subscriptions gets to decide how much life we gain. Currently 0. 0 life. I don't know, I'm ahead on clock. I'm chilling. I think I'll just go to like 50 and pass here. Subscription offer rescinded. All right. So it's got the infinite life combo. If my opponent's not going to concede to it, especially. Again, maybe there's the kind of deck that's like better in paper than Magic Online. Why not run one copy of Aetherflux? Yeah, it's funny. We Sephiroth and Super Shredder are your wins from that spot. I wonder why it's still not implemented in Moto to present loops. Well, as a dumb Twitch streamer who doesn't know anything, I feel very qualified to speak on this. As an IT school, as a former IT worker who never did any computer programming and college dropout, I feel very qualified to speak on this. I've been told by some people the infinite loops would be very easy to implement and that they could do it in like a week. And I've been told by some people it's impossible to implement. So usually, if you hear two different things like this, what you want to do is just believe the one that's the most convenient for you. Believe the one that's like, dang, they're so lazy, those bastards. You know, that's easier to believe than it's tough. So go ahead and do that. Freezing with a gifted sub. Thank you so much. You chose 50 life, right? Okay. Hinkle is saying it's nearly impossible. I need somebody else to say that it'd be very easy, please. Just go ahead and flip the script for me. I guess we could bait a consign with Cauldron here, maybe. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of people are saying it'd be very easy. Hinkle, I think you don't know what you're talking about. Look at how many people are saying it'd be extremely easy. They could get it done in a few days. You're just lazy. A lot of people are saying it. All right, fast back. We're gonna go after the graveyard because of Flage. Computer, AI, ChatGPT, could you please give me an infinite loop on Magic Online? Computer, make no mistakes. Make no mistakes. Give me infinite combo generator on Magic Online. I need it by tonight. Why don't any of the idiots just do that? Me and Esther have this joke, and I don't know how to explain the joke without sounding like an asshole, but it's just like, I don't know how it's not if we do something that required no effort at all, and was like, and like if we get into line, and then like all of a sudden a lot of other people will just get in line behind us because we just happen to get there at a good time. We'll just go, look at all these idiots behind us. these fools. They don't know anything about getting in line. These idiots. And then like when Esther makes her March Madness bracket and she's like in third place in her company of like 1,200 people, and she didn't really know what she was doing, but she's doing great. She's like, these idiots. They don't know anything about March Madness. They're not like me. So I don't know. It's a bit dumb, but we have a laugh, you know. I guess playing this Broodscale is very bad into Land Wrath. Playing the other blade is kind of bad into Land Wrath too. I think I'll just play the other blade. So yeah, feel free to fix that. Again, we're not actually calling anybody idiots there, but it is. We have a good laugh with it every time. So now they have enough energy to Wrath. All right, I guess we should chill. Esther does have a really good mind for basketball, though. We watch a lot of basketball together, and she really does. She does have a good brain for it. Does not want to sound mean, even implementing a way to record input, like moving to clicks to repeat it. Yeah, but double. A lot of people are saying it's really easy. And so I don't, this is just the dialogue tree. I don't know anything about it. I don't know how. I agree. It seems like if they could do it easily, they would have done it already for sure. But I just think it's funny that whenever this conversation comes up, there's just some people going it'd be easy, and then some people going it'd be impossible, and I don't know. I don't know. We drew another Fleshraker. I think I'm supposed to play it. This is me trying to bait another removal spell. I guess I should equip maybe both blades. But this is me trying to bait another removal spell and or Wrath the Skies. Not that Wrath the Skies is something I want to see. Very tense game. I think the experts are wrong and the people who aren't programmers right. There you go. There you go. Maybe they could have nothing. You just won. The thing is that they have nothing. We're probably winning this game anyways. And they also have 4 spells in their hand, so there's that. They do keep a card on top. Should know you're hitting your protein goals. Let's go. I've been slacking a little bit. I've just been getting like 150 a day, which is still like a lot, but I was doing 180 for a while. Have I seen Verulean Emissary? Whenever another creature you control enters, gain 1 life. I have seen Green Soul Sisters. I guess this one's Soul Sister with Death Touch, but not triggering on opponent stuff. So thankfully no consign to scam the Flage. I'm good for them to not have stacked their triggers wrong here, and like they could have grown the Fleshraker. That would have been a disaster. Yeah, I see that it has Death Touch. So if you Cauldron and Ballista onto it, it Death Touches the player. It's time. Okay, so now we adapt. It's a little bit of an issue. We don't have a. I guess we have the other blades, so we can make an infinitely big board. This is gonna suck. I guess we just gain infinite life because we won't have the double blade equipped to go off here. If there's a version of Broodscale that can play Green Sun, I think this card would be great. Oh, that card. We do have a Green Sun Broodscale build. There's a card Long Fang. That is the real name of the card. It's a Green Sunnable Blade of the Broodscale, basically. So I guess I'll go always yes, but not always yield to this. Because if I always yield, then the Solitude resolves, right? Or is it that I have to yield to the Solitude? I guess I can always. I think I just have to yield to Solitude. Okay, yeah, we can just do this. Yeah. So technically, this is infinite life again. Yeah, I'm always worried about it yielding past the Solitude, but it just won't. All right, whoever gives the most subscribers gets to choose how much life we gain. Do I hear 0? Probably gonna go to like 70 here. Oh, I could do 6-7. All right, we'll do 6-7. Spoiler, you don't agree with. Yeah, I guess my opponent could choose to not Solitude the Broodscale, but then I equip the blade, right? What did they pitch? A Purge? The Quest for 67. Let them target the Eldrazi. The problem with letting the Solitude resolve is they could have Ephemerate. So you have to do this in response to the cast. Could do 670. What am I playing in the challenge tomorrow? I might play the Orzhov deck. I liked it. I think I like it. It kind of gets the top decks, and then we played against a bunch of weird stuff today. I also have another deck. I might just YOLO in the challenge. Although it might be I have Goryo's with Deceit that I've been liking. Could see them in that. You should gain life equal to the 3 digits on the back of my credit card. Yeah, still up on clock. After the second time we've done this match. I've seen the black white charm and the red white. I've learned already not to call them Boros and Orzhov. I could see maybe reaching for either of them in modern. They're definitely kind of pushed. Although I will say another buff for Boros Synergy is, although I don't know that this card's better than Thraben Charm. Probably not better than Thraben Charm. Also on Scour over Winter Knight and Jessica Jones for curve considerations. Winter Knight's really, really, really good. And it like discards for value. But so is Scour, so you can play both. Why not call them Boros? Well, I said I want to see the Boros charm, and people kept going, "Oh, you don't know what Boros charm does? It deals 4 damage to a player, or gives your stuff indestructible, or gives double strike." You're welcome, Spike. That's what Boros charm does. And same thing with Orzhov charm. Oh, like they listed the modes on Orzhov charm, which is destroy a creature, lose life equal to its toughness, return creature with 1 mana value from graveyard to play. So that's gonna be power crept by the Boros charm now. And then return creature to its owner's hand and all auras attached. Okay, so we have done it. 67. 67. Blade of the Broodscale. Dude, yeah, Orzhov Charm's got a lot of text. All right, I equip. Yeah, I think Thraben Charm is probably going to be better than this one. Although the damage mode on this one's pretty nice. So this you only get the dice trigger if you sack, right? You don't get the dice trigger if the Felia hits it. I'm pretty sure you don't. Okay, I'm going to go down to 76 life. Again, if this was paper, I would be at some unimaginable number like 1 million. Some number that we could only dream of. But unfortunately, we're restricted by the technology of our time. Something unimaginable like 2 billion. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure it doesn't trigger. Okay, we'll take the Serenade. Oh, I wonder if they had the Ephemerate last turn and they just didn't Ephemerate because we responded. But it says GG's, man. GG's. Okay, thank you to our opponent. So 3-2 this league. I feel like this is like a pretty reasonable way to build Broodscale. I don't know if it's the best, but if you like the Shredder Sephiroth package like I do, I think this is a pretty fun one for it. So tomorrow for the challenge, I'm leaning towards the idyllic Orzhov deck. I liked it. We can also play the updated Goryo's deck, although we didn't have a good